How's my man Adrian Blunt doing?
Adrian Blunt's doing good, man.
Adrian Blunt's doing good.
Yep, I talked to him yesterday.
That's dope. Well, I love the backdrop, but do you like my backdrop? You
Yeah,
peep my
man,
backdrop
I'm
out?
checking it out. You got a
Uh,
little everything going on.
no, but you
No, I see the round. I know. I saw the selection. I got it. I see where it's at. I saw the subliminal behind
the
people
little
that say,
subliminal
did
message.
you see it? Did you know it?
That was a special time for you, though. 1993, third round. Where
Yeah.
were you, fam?
I was in Lincoln. Basically, I was in my apartment trying to figure out what I was going to do, where I was going to be, all of that. And actually, it's funny because Kevin Warren, it was my agent, and he's actually there. We're sitting here chilling, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Wait till you get to the third round. The Chiefs need a guard. We're going to get this all done." And it just so happened to work out well.
Now, you played guard, but you also played tackle, and you also played every position on that line.
At one point in time, I did fill in for different spots all the way across the board. I played, center for a couple snaps, not for a whole game, but I did play little right tackle, left tackle. We had a couple games there that was pretty tough, but it was fun. It was fun. I mean, and then in high school, I played both offensive, defensive line, so that's where I sort of cut my chops and got down to business to where it was, a blast to understand what it was like to be. I call it controlled violence.
All right, fam. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hey guys, welcome to The Mission. I'm your host, Jameer Howardson. And as always, we have a cool show for you. It's week 3 in the NFL, and there's so much to unpack over the next 30 minutes or so. And today, of course, we're going to recap week 2, check out some of the injuries that may impact certain teams, look ahead to week 3's primetime matchup, and introduce 2 of our new segments. But first, to help us break it all down from the class of 2015, Kansas City Chiefs legend, but check this out, guys. This third-round draft pick in 1993, as a rookie, helped the Chiefs to their first divisional title since 1971 and was honored to play in 12 straight Pro Bowls. I'm talking about the offensive lineman guru because he played all up and down that offensive line. Will Shields is joining us right here on The Mission. Welcome, sir. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How you guys?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just peeping out your backdrop out there, man. We've had a few of the guys in their offices, in their kitchen, but I'm noticing, like, am I correct to say we're on the golf course, Will?
Oh yeah, man. We're on the golf course. I actually got invited to go on a little golf trip with my son's father-in-law, and so I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I'm out at Ogle Bay and got a chance to play all these different courses for a couple of days. Of course, the day wasn't as good as other days, but hey, if I'm on the golf course, I'm feeling good.
That's what's up. Well, we're going to jump right into it, man. First and foremost, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is honoring this year's class with the Ring of Excellence, and you're no stranger to getting your ring. And Monday night during the primetime game with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings, your former head coach, Dick Vermeil, received his Ring of Excellence. Let's talk about Coach Vermeil and how special that occasion was for him.
It's one of those things where you're just sort of sitting here trying to figure out, okay, all this stuff is happening. Am I really in? Am I really not? Even though you have the jacket, you have the feel, but then you get this lovely ring. You're going, man. They're actually putting another ring on your finger, something that's unique, something that's cool, and then you're doing it in front of all your fans too, which makes it even better. Or people that have not acknowledged you for what you've done. And I think it's one of those things that's sort of the icing on the cake, because it is that third piece that sort of sits on your hand that you can pull out every once in a while. And it's that conversation piece of, hey, did you get that from here? Did you get that from there? And when you say it's a Pro Football Hall of Fame ring, and they were like, oh, really? I just thought it was like a championship ring or something like that. You're like, no, it's something a little bigger than that.
That's what's up. So talk about Coach Vermeil and what he meant to you, because I understand you guys had a special relationship, especially when he became your head coach in Kansas City.
We did, man. It was really interesting because, me and Coach Vermeil's become so close. We talk at least once a month back and forth. He's a guy that calls and checks in on you on a constant basis. But when we first started, it was a little rocky, man. Me and Coach Vermeil, man, they were talking about cutting me and getting rid of me and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, Coach, come on, what's going on? He's like, well, we just you don't do that for guards. We don't pay guards, what you want to be paid and do all this other stuff. And then we come to find out that we were the best thing for each other, and that's what's really cool is that the opportunity for him to be, for us to have a coach that actually believed in us. It was one of the funnest times I ever had playing the game because he was offensive minded. He had that mentality that he built into us of like, oh, no, I don't want y'all to waste your time. Go and score as fast as you can, as many times as you can. And so that was one coach that you never had to worry about if he was going to pull the reins on you or not. He was more or less, hey, the more gas, the better.
And
now,
how
practicing was
yeah, but he was
a different thing. A practice was a beast for when you first came in. He sort of had to set the tone and build your way into it. But once you got into that flow and he knew about you and you knew about him, he started saying, hey, you need to take a break. You are getting a little older in the tooth there. Give you a little break here and there, but we were one of those guys that, hey, he works hard, plays hard, and makes sure that everybody feels like they're at home.
Will, you got to tell me, how many times a week did Coach Vermeil cry on you guys?
It wasn't a weekly thing. It was more or less specific guys and specific things that, and he says, hey, real men have to cry. You have to get your emotions out. You got to feel it. And to me, that's one thing that he sort of taught us is that, that tough man's shoulder. It's okay to cry, but you still got to go out and work hard and hit somebody in the mouth when it's time to do that. But it's okay to show your emotions and show your feelings because, you got to show somebody that you love and you care for them and that you're a part of them and you want to make them better.
All right, Will, let's talk some shop because I know week 2, before we look ahead to week 3, week 2, your eyes were glued to the TV. What were some of your takeaways?
For which game? There were so many great games this
Give them to me, Will. Which games were you locked in on?
I was going back and forth. I saw comebacks happen over here. I saw guys that got injured, which is going to be crucial down the road. But I think right now you're looking at San Francisco and they're going, what's going to go there? You had a starter that goes down, but you had a guy that was already tamed the starter the years before that took you to a Super Bowl that's still sitting there. You're going to go, okay, now can we just let him go ahead and do what he needs to do to help our teams go through and survive till we get to that point? And then what's his mindset?
I picked him up on fantasy. I got him on my team.
You were like, okay, you moving in the starting role. Let's put you in the starting role here.
Will, you mentioned some of the upsets and some of the comebacks. What game were you particularly watching? Because I know my eyes were glued onto my New York Jets and, of course, my Cleveland Browns. My whole thing is, look, when the Jets aren't playing the Browns, of course, I want to see the Browns do well. But when the Browns are playing the Jets, come on, man.
You're stuck.
I'm stuck. I'm so
how you gonna
stuck.
One or the other. You sort of stuck in between there, right?
But what a game! What a game, man!
Unbelievable game. For me, because I'm a Chief, I always had to go. I went to that Thursday night game and watched them fight back and forth and go through all the ups and downs. And I knew it was going to be a tight game. You just didn't know how they were going to prevail and how they were going to pull it off. But it comes down, defense did the job. And, that's one thing about the team game is figuring out which group's going to step up and make it happen. And that's sort of in all these games. You have one pick six here, one kickoff return there, and it makes the big thing happen. And I think that's what's going to be unique this season is that a lot of teams are going to be close. Now, I'm not going to say nothing about those Bills or those Philadelphia guys up there that did some damage the other night. But every other team is going to be pretty close here and there and watching them play. And that's what's going to be really cool to try to see who's going to eat the wins out early to actually help them get to the playoffs and get those big wins that actually get home games because that one home game is crucial.
All right, Will, we touched on the injury update. So now let's look ahead to week 3, some primetime matchups. Thursday night, Pittsburgh travels to Cleveland for a divisional rivalry game. We know the history there. Both teams lost last week, and I know the Browns, they're trying to put that nasty taste out of their mouth from losing to the New York Jets. Quick turnaround. Talk about that primetime matchup. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty ugly. I think it's going to be, a defensive standoff of watching Cleveland get after Pittsburgh's quarterback and see what he's made of. You know, I don't know about that. I mean, it's sort of like what I would try and just see where he's made of, where his metal is, you know, and then once he has to prove himself to be that guy. Plus, anytime you're playing a rivalry game, it's pretty easy to get yourself up for it and get yourself ready to rock and roll. But always you get that bitter taste after giving up so many points to lose the game at the end. So you're ready to get that out of your mouth and just say, okay, let's go back, get back to the grind and get back on the field to sort of prove where you should be. And I think they got a little defensive end that can rush pretty well on both sides, especially on that Cleveland side right now, because I think Pittsburgh is a little beat up yet.
Sunday night, San Fran travels to Denver to face the Broncos. Your thoughts on that game?
You know, I wonder if the elevation is going to play any difference. Not a whole lot. But Seattle we're still trying to figure out where Seattle sits, to me.
San Fran.
Not San Fran. We're still trying to figure out where Denver sits. You know, they got a great quarterback, paid a lot of money for him. But the question is, you know, when are they going to give him a chance to just sort of run the roost? You know, there's a lot of other places that they go and, hey, if I'm going to pay you that much, it's your team, you run it, you do what you're going to do. But I think, you know, Mr. Wilson likes to relax and make sure that, hey, I'm following the rules. I'm doing what I need to do. I don't want to make any waves, where I think maybe, you know, it's time for him to make those waves and sort of put a stamp on, you know, what the Broncos are going to be. That's why they brought him in.
Monday night, barring any injuries, the Beasts of the East, them boys are traveling to the Big Apple to face the Giants.
I don't know. I mean, right, like I said, you finally got some guys that are healthy in the Giants, you know, world. So I think that's what you're going to have to play off of. Use those guys the best you can. You know, I think it's going to be tough, you know, to come in there and just, you know, rip off one. As long as I keep my Saquon Barkley's healthy, I think we'll be all right.
I got him in my lineup. I definitely have him in my lineup, Will. So what other games besides the primetime matchup games, what other games will Will Shields be keying in on?
You know, I actually sort of gaze over all games, man. I just sort of go back and forth and see who's done what and just check them out to see who's playing well. You know, I mean, I do follow Cleveland a little bit here because I like their O-line coach. You know, I'd sort of tout their O-line against Kansas City's O-line, and I more or less watch those big guys to see how they play. And so that's what I'll probably be doing, is going back and forth and seeing which guys are healthy and which guys are playing well. You know, get my own critique on those big guys that get a chance to punch people every snap.
You know, you mentioned your Kansas City Chiefs. I want to take a minute to kind of unpack that because, you know, you look at 2 years ago when, unfortunately, they had the upset during the Super Bowl. And I know Patrick Mahomes doesn't have some of his speedsters. Tyreek Hill has left and he's gone on to the Miami Dolphins. But this is a two-headed monster. Let's talk about the O-line first and foremost. What are your thoughts on how they're playing so far?
They're doing good. I think they're holding in there. I think last week was a big test. But some of that comes also to help them with scheme. You know, you got to help my tackles when they got big guys that can rush them, get the ball out of your hands quick. And they did a pretty good job of that last week. You know, I think when you get down to it, my interior guys are going to have to hold up. And I know they're young. You know, they're real young, but you know that I think that's going to help them in the long run of those guys getting better as it goes along. The more they see, the better they'll get, and so they're doing really well. And that's what I like about them, is that they're scrappy, and they play really well together right now. You know, they're helping each other out. They know their weaknesses. And what was the second fold of that?
The second one is Patrick Mahomes. You know, let's talk about him. Is he the type of guy that you need to build talent around him, or does he have that it factor, that Tom Brady factor, that he can make anybody around him great?
You know, what's really unique about him is that he's willing to pull people along with him. You know, and that's one thing you want from a leader, is a guy that's willing to go, hey, instead of going on vacation, we're going to go here together and we're going to catch balls. We're going to work on game. We're going to work on what we want to get done. So he's pulling guys along. And if you don't buy in, that's why you have a lot of changeover here and there, especially in that 3, 4, and 5 guy that comes in and out. And you got to find those guys, because you got to find those guys that he can get the ball to and trust. And so far, so good. He's been able to spread it around, and those guys have been making plays. And I think that's what's going to be the key to this season, is keeping those other guys making plays, then getting back to Kelsey when they have the one-on-one matchups that they need.
All right, Will, it's time for our new segment, Hall of Famer Player Watch List. The Hall of Famer NFL Player Watch List. This is our new segment that's brought to you by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Book your trip today to Canton, Ohio by visiting www.profootballhof.com. All right, Will, let's talk about some of the NFL players in today's game that Will Shields is particularly watching for.
There's a guard that plays for Indianapolis. I watch him quite a bit to see how he's doing. He's been up and down, a little injured here and there, but he's a real good player. And then there's a couple of big tackles that I follow. I'm rooting for my guy at KC, but we got to get some more work in. I'm just being honest. You got to put more work in to get there. So there's a lot of guys here and there that you sort of pick and choose. And for those small guys, we're working on different stuff, trying to figure out which small guy is going to show up on a consistent basis. And so I think for me, it's going to be a hard sell to find out who is those game changers that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Because I've heard there's some people grinding about the requisite of how you're going to get in and what you're going to do to get there. So you got to find guys that are going to wreck the game and change it a little bit. And I always like those young guys. I mean, right now I like, even I'm a Kansas City side. Even though Tyreek left, he's one of those guys that could be a game changer long enough to make things happen. There's a lot of guys that are sort of coming up, but, it's tough. It's tough to get in that range. It's tough to get in that call. So, they got to put a lot of years in and a lot of hard work and be dominant to figure out what's going to go on. I mean, there is that defensive tackle down in L.A. He's special, he put some work in. He's sort of special. So, he's one of those that, they might call down the ring here sooner or later.
Now you mentioned some offensive tackles. There was one guy in particular I've been hearing he's making some noise. Trent Williams, Trent Williams, the San Francisco 49ers offensive tackle. Talk about this young man.
Very nice, plays hard. Love the way he does things, but just like anything else, we like a little more nasty. We like a little more get it done. We like a little more dominance. But yeah, he's a solid guy. I mean, he's one of those guys that comes in and puts in work. Matter of fact, there's been quite a few teams that tried to steal him during the offseason, and San Fran protected him pretty well to keep him out of harm's way. So that's one of those things. He is one of those dominant guys that everybody likes.
Now, Will, I need to run something by you. And this is for our listeners as well. Check this out. Outside linebacker from the New England Patriots, Matthew Judon, had this to say about offensive tackles, and I want to get your perspective.
If y'all don't run anything I say, run this. Offensive tackles aren't good. They quarterbacks just get the ball out fast.
He said offensive tackles are not good. They just get the ball out fast.
Oh. Well, it depends on who you're playing, I guess, But I guess, does he have 20 sacks a year? I'm just asking. If they're just fast and they get the ball out quick, does he have 20 sacks or does he have 20 interceptions? He is a linebacker, right?
That's right. Outside linebacker, he's rushing. So I don't know that. I just wanted I was preparing for today's.
Or can it be that, or is it can be that they're smarter to be able to get the ball out when they should to make plays? I don't know. There's a lot of little nuances in there. It could be all the above. He could be correct. Who knows? All I know is if you don't have a lot of sacks and a lot of touchdowns and a lot of tackles, I mean, that's sort of how it works as linebacker. You only get what you get. I can't really speak for either or because it could happen that way. But all I know is, you play the position, you play hard, you do what you got to do.
Well, there it is. That is the Hall of Famers NFL players to watch list. We're going to be keying in on these guys because you never know who is going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame Today gallery. And as you know, Will, that's the gallery where we get artifacts, uniforms, socks, shoes, you name it, shoulder pads, helmets, game cards from coaches and players that are in today's game that are making their way. But Will, it's week 3 in the NFL. And if you could take us inside the locker room, what is the mindset of players as they're entering week 3?
Well, you got to realize, did they win that week or did they lose that week? That all plays a great goal into it. If they lost, Coaches are reaming them. Hey, what happened? Why didn't we do this? Or some coaches are going, it's okay. It's the beginning of the year. We're just sort of getting into our groove. We're figuring out what it is. And that's the difference between one or the other. Or, you gave up big plays. We got to eliminate these. It's that 2-week notice of, okay, these are the things we got to change. These are the things we got to fix. And it's not as hectic of saying we got to make major changes right now because it's only week 2. And you got those growing pains of understanding that some of these guys, this is their first time playing in this big arena. I don't care where you played college and everything else. You're facing the best of the best. So you have that opportunity of growth, and that's what you're trying to do is figure out how can I grow and become better.
Well, you know what? I have to talk about some issues that's been going on around the league, and it's in the news today. It's about our 12th men, the fans. Things are kind of getting out of hand. You're seeing bottles thrown at the owner of the Cleveland Browns. You're seeing altercations between Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray, with the fans. And we've seen it in basketball, but you see it in soccer. But now it's like you said, it's week 3 of the season, week 1 and 2. You're seeing these altercations come up. What are your thoughts on how you can control this and just a message, to the fans that are out there?
Well, I think most people got to realize that we love that they love the game. We love that they're passionate. We love that feel like you're right there on the field with us and you're part of it and everything else. But that doesn't mean you have to act up. That doesn't mean you have to go out and try to prove your merit for a team or for something else. We play a sport for a living, and we love the sport itself, and we don't want it to be messed up because somebody's doing something silly, not any reason to get in any fights or to, I had a guy, actually walking down the little terminal there, and he's for, the Chargers, and he's yelling, "You guys suck, you guys suck, you guys suck." And I was like, hey, man, I mean, it's a game. You guys haven't even started yet. It was before the game even started. He was looking to get into an altercation. And so I just sort of kept walking and, we just ignored him as he was going through. And I said, I know by the night was on, somebody got upset and they started fighting, but he was looking for an altercation. He was looking for that physical piece for somebody to take forward. And I think it's a bigger person to find a way to sort of walk their way through it and walk around it and leave it alone than to buy into it. Because, I mean, some people are looking for those altercations, those reasons to try to ask people to get physical and to act. I call it really just silliness within itself. Yeah. And it's in every game. It's in every part of the stadium. It's in different pieces. And I think that's where you got to have those people that control the area, securities and those kind of things that understand what's going on, sort of nip that in the bud in the beginning so that you can actually enjoy the game and enjoy the atmosphere. And that goes even for the teams that are home teams that are, broken and prodding those that are coming to watch the game, because the simple fact of it is they paid money just like you to watch their team and to cheer them on. And that's part of the process. And then actually, if you go to some places in Europe, they split them up to where they can't be next to each other. One side has to be one has to be another. They have to come in specific gates, all kinds of craziness just to keep them apart. Wow. We don't want to get to that point. I hope not in the NFL, that's for sure.
No. But you definitely that was well said, Will. And that's like, as you said, it's something that you want to get in check and nip it in the bud early on. Man, before I let you go, because I know you're out there on the course and I know you may want to go get another 9 in, but I have to do our last segment, which is the Hall of Famer hot seat segment. Now, these are some of them are 1-word answers, but I know you will. You can, if it's not a 1-word answer, you can do it within 5 seconds. But this segment is brought to you by the Pro Football Hall of Fame merchandise store, where you can shop for all 32 teams as well as all of your Hall of Famer swag. Visit ProFootballHOF.com for all promotional advertisement. All right, Will, let's jump into it before you leave. In the running game, who would you want it to block for in today's game?
Wow, that's a tough one. And I can only choose one?
You can choose as many you want. It's the Hall of Famer hot seat.
Well, that kid Henry is not bad. Taylor's not bad. Those are two I would just say off the top of my head. I could just see having a good time and actually, helping them get even more yards than they get now.
What offensive front compared to when you played the game?
Offensive front? Oh, wow. There's a lot of young lines that look pretty good. It depends on what year. That's what it is. When you play for 14, you got 14 different lines. So you can pick any line in the NFL and say we were similar to that team one year, we're similar to another one another year. But I do like the way a couple of the teams get out of it. I love the way, Cleveland has a run game that's really nice. When it's clicking, and that's what makes it fun to watch.
Superhero, which one would you want to be and why?
Man, we asked that question a while back, and I keep switching back and forth. I mean, I don't know if I want to be Superman, but I mean, he does have a lot of power, though. A lot of power, but, and he keeps to himself. I'm sort of like that, you sort of sneak on and turn into somebody else and then walk off the field and become that mild-mannered guy. So I guess I can sort of use that one for the moment.
See, I thought you were David Banner. I thought you were the Hulk. You were a nice guy, and then somebody said something, and you just turned green and lost it.
Well, that would be cool, but, I'm not big and strong as these other guys I used to play with and against, so I have to negotiate space, so that's different.
Cereal of choice, and it could be hot or cold. It could be hot or cold.
Cereal, though. It's truly a cereal, but I actually do. Right now, I'm an oats guy, man. I do straight up steel cut oats.
And lastly, your favorite NFL uniform.
Favorite NFL uniform. That's a tough one. I mean, I played in one forever, so I sort of got to be biased to it, being a Chief. But you can't say you do like, the skull and crossbones of a couple of different teams. They all got, one's got a flag to it and the other one does too. So you like the sort of pirate kind of love on both sides.
So is that safe to say when you was little, you had the Oakland Raiders outfit?
No, when I was little, I didn't wear any outfit whatsoever, man, because my dad and mom wouldn't let that happen. They were a Cowboys fan, man. So
okay.
We watched the Cowboys now. We watched the Cowboys. My family's from Texas, so we were straight Cowboys fans at that point.
So the star was your
and I pretended, but the problem is I pretended when we played pickup games to be Earl the Pearl, man. Earl Campbell, baby, because I used to just run people over when I was little, So that was a lot of fun playing that little front yard tackle ball. Yes, sir. Breakaway uniforms, all of that.
There it is. The Hall of Famer hot seat rapid fire questions with Pro Football Hall of Famer Will Shields. Well, Will, man, we thank you so much for taking time outside of your golf game today to join us right here on The Mission, man. And I can't wait to have you back on to talk more football with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem, bro. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
Will Shields right here on The Mission.